Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, so good to have you today. You and your wife are singers, and you also songwriters and producers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my wife and I, we started playing music. This was before we were married. Back in 2010, we met at a camp for kids with special needs.
Oh, cool.
And about halfway through the camp, we both realized that we both enjoyed music. We liked writing music. And I asked her to come over one day and maybe we could have a jam session. And she came by and we wrote a song and put it on the internet, just for fun. And to our surprise, the next day it had a couple thousand views.
Wow.
And, for us at the time, we're like, holy cow, what? This is incredible. And it just kind of blossomed from there. We're like, hey, you know what? Like, this is something that we can do. We can have some fun with it. At this point, we weren't looking to do it like professionally or a career by any means. Our friendship was still blossoming at the time too. So it was something for us to do to get to know each other better. And really, ultimately, it led us to fall in love and get married and and the whole suite of things there.
That is so cool.
But yeah, we started writing music in 2010, and then I think we started playing shows. We put out an album early on back in 2013. Again, not something that was career oriented for us. It was just something to do.
Yeah,
and so. A few years later, I'd say probably within the past 5 years, we've really taken it to another level to where it could be a career for us. So, over time, you kind of, if you have followed our journey, you can see from the original videos, which were poorly made, by the way, to now, we've got full production of music, full production of videos, all of that. So the past 5 years, it's been really on a different level and setting for us.
Yeah. And what kind of music do you guys produce?
Yeah, so we do contemporary Christian music. We've done all types of genres. It really depends on how we're feeling, what kind of music that we're going to write. But we sit in the contemporary Christian music arena right now. And but we have written, if you've listened to our music, there's some hints of country in there. There's some folk mixed in there, some pop music. So it's like a combination, but we really drive our music towards faith and scripture. And Jesus really at the forefront of it all.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, were you playing a sport before? What was your journey before this that you thought would probably end up being your life journey?
Yeah, my dreams and career aspirations changed over years. Growing up, I baseball was my number one thing, and I was a pitcher. I played at Duke. Had potential to continue on to the next level, but God had other plans. Ended up getting injured, lost my faith really, during that time. It was a pretty dark time for me in general. And music was kind of an escape for me. So I started writing music and, one dream closed and then a new dream kind of came into play that I didn't, I never expected that years later I'd be playing music for a living. It makes no sense to me. It's still baffling to this day and kind of makes me laugh.
And it's crazy to think that maybe that first dream was actually always meant to be a segue to the actual dream, but we never know that, at the time. And we're like you said, it was a dark time and you were like, man, my life is over probably, when really it was just beginning.
Exactly. It's so crazy to think about because, I ran through, when that was happening, it was a whirlwind of emotions for me. I hit a depression phase, really anxious and had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And, music was just that escape route for me. And, as I started writing music and starting, Sarah was really, she's been a Christian her whole life. For me, it was relatively new. I went to church and all that, but I didn't really ever read the Bible. I didn't understand the love of Jesus or anything until I started writing Christian music and diving into the Bible. And then as I did that, like all of these song ideas just came out. And it was like one dream ended, to your point, to have another dream, show up for me. And Sarah too. I mean, she wasn't expecting to do music either. And I remember when I first heard her sing, I knew there was something special in her voice, and I was like, we gotta do this.
She has a great voice. I mean, you both really do. I love your music. You guys have some really good stuff.
Appreciate
Absolutely. That. Yeah. And at which point would you say you guys decided to really start pursuing it hardcore? Like, just say, hey, let's get serious about this. Let's really pursue this.
Yeah. We released our first contemporary Christian album back in 2017. Again, it was new for us. We had done kind of a pop folk country combo before that, our first album in 2013, and something was missing. It was more of the mainstream oriented music, and we realized that, you know, our faith was what was missing in these songs. Not that we didn't write about anything positive or uplifting, because we did, but really our goal, we wanted to inspire people and bring people closer to God. And the way he changed my life, I wanted other people to experience that love and just the compassion and the forgiveness behind the whole thing. So when we made that shift in 2017, we realized, all right, it's time to go, and this is what we're going to do. And I would say the pandemic really was the start of kind of the next level things that we were working on, production wise, album, music videos, all of that. You know, I'll add a little bit to my story here. When the pandemic first started, we couldn't tour, we couldn't do anything that the normal musician does, and
which was probably very discouraging, right, to say the least. Yeah.
Very, because we felt like we were getting momentum at that time, and all of a sudden, boom, like we can't tour, we can't play any music, everything's virtual at this point. But it was a blessing at the end of the day. Again, hidden behind all of the chaos, there was love and greatness there, sitting there. So what we started doing is going live on our Facebook page. And, you know, at the time we didn't have a ton of followers. We had, you know, a decent amount of followers, and, you know, they would retweet or they would share our posts and all that. But we started going live and doing live prayer and worship and trying to help people that need it, that need prayers answered, that need just encouragement. And when we did that, we were doing it on a weekly basis. The followers in the social media platform just exploded to a level that I still don't even know how it happened.
Wow.
But God opened the doors for us, and we realized then and there, like, we got to finish this album that we're doing. We had written so many songs. I mean, we have probably 100 songs that no one has heard yet, that just kind of sitting on the back burner. And I remember looking at Sarah saying, like, now's the time, we got to put this out. And then we put that album out, and God just blessed it.
And clearly your music is really impacting people's lives, because your fan base has grown to over 1 million, is it? Which is mind-blowing, right? There's folks who push hard for like a decade and don't even get to a quarter of that. And you guys, you know, have gotten there quicker, it seems. And during a pandemic, like, that's wow.
Yeah,
that's just wow.
It's so humbling, and I can just say right now, it's very undeserving. Like, we don't deserve anything. I mean, as Christians, as you grow closer to God, you start to realize just how terrible we are. Like, you know, I'd hate to laugh about it, but everything that has happened for us has been undeserving, and we just feel blessed and happy that we can do this for our life and just inspire people. And whether or not the music was taken off or whatever, as long as something that we've always told ourselves is, as long as we can impact one person every single day, that makes what we're doing worth it. So, you know, some of the messages that we've received from people that are going through depression, that are going through suicidal thoughts, that are going through loss, when we get those messages, we're able to encourage them. And we've built some long-lasting relationships with a lot of our fans. And, you know, we don't look at it as we're the artists and they're, you know, fans of ours. We look at them as family.
Yeah.
And every chance that we can get to interact with them, we do.
That's amazing. Speaking of, so you're juggling this career as a duo, but also parenting and marriage. Why don't we start with the aspect of parenting and trying to juggle that with that?
For sure. So it is a challenge, I will say, across the board when, you know, having children in general. For those of you who have children, you understand it. It's definitely a challenge, but I love our kids so much. I mean, they are everything in my life and my family, and you know, my son Jeremiah, he's 5, he'll be 6 this year. My daughter Naomi, she's 2, going on 30, because she's a little sassy and she knows what she wants. You know, the everyday needs of just taking care of them and making sure that we're training them up in the way that they should go so that they don't turn away, right? I always reference the Bible. You probably realize I do that a lot here. But making sure that they're growing up in a safe environment and a loving family is more important than, you know, having a record take off, right? So it can be a challenge, though, because there are times that we have deadlines that we need to finish. We need to work on this album, or we need to produce this, we need to mix this. And, you know, all your son wants to do is play with you, he wants to go in the backyard and play soccer. So it's finding the happy balance to where you can be successful as a parent, but also as a musician.
Absolutely.
From a marriage standpoint, Sarah
That's
and
what I really want to know about.
Different story, man. No, I'm kidding. I love Sarah to death. She's an incredible person, one of the most creative people I've ever met. Has a beautiful voice and just a beautiful soul. She helped me come to the cross realistically, and I love her for that.
Yeah.
I'm forever thankful. But she is a stubborn person, man. I'll tell you. I love her to death.
Positively speaking, of course.
Positively speaking. She is stubborn because she's very nitpicky with lyrics and stuff too. So I will say out of the two of us, she's probably the most poetic when it comes to writing. I do more of like the catchiness and the choruses and the ideas for the songs and where we're going to go production wise. And, she's very good at, finding the right words that are poetic, that make sense. So a lot of the times we'll bump heads a little bit, but separating that marriage and career is a challenge for sure. Because
and parenting.
Oh, and like parenting too.
Three-way road almost. Yeah.
Yeah, and every family has their problems. Every marriage has problems, and what we have really tried to focus on is separating our personal issues with business. When it's business, it's business. We got to get stuff done. When it's personal, forget about business. It's family time. So that's what we're trying to find that happy balance of. And I'd say probably the past couple of years, we've really taken a stride with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And where are some of the platforms that fans or new fans even can start following your work?
Yeah, so acoustictruthofficial.com is our website. Our Facebook page is under Acoustic Truth. We've got YouTube. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, basically wherever you stream music. You can find all that stuff there. But yeah, our social media, from an interaction standpoint, I'd say Facebook and Instagram, we try to get back to people as much as we possibly can. So shoot us a message. We'd love to talk to you, pray with you, all that. So
it's like you guys are like superheroes because you're balancing the creative process with parenting, with the marriage, with your fan base. Man, I gotta say, I commend you. Excuse me.
Condemn me, jeez. Wow, this is a different kind of interview I was expecting.
Right. I commend you guys, by the way, for being able to just to handle that. That's just amazing. That's amazing.
Appreciate that. That was awesome.
Thank you. Based on your journey, your experience, what are some pointers that you would give new and aspiring singers and songwriters based on what you've learned?
Yeah. So if I can go back to myself when we first started, I'm that type of person that puts your head down and just works and will work 12 straight hours. You got to be able to put in the work. You got to be able to put in the time and effort. Things aren't going to happen for you. And it does in some cases, but unless you work hard and truly have that passion to keep going and it doesn't become a job, it's something that you passionately want to do, you have to have that mindset. I will say, so going in with that is number one. Number two is don't try to fit a mold. You got to be true to yourself. Don't try to write the next hit. Write a song that is near and dear to your heart. Write about the truth. Write about what you're going through, because I can tell you millions of other people are going through the same thing. So don't look to make the next hit. Look to change a heart. Look to really help the world. I think that's the number one thing, to be honest. I sound like Miss
Especially
America,
in today's
but it's
world.
true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, and then, it's not about the label. The industry has changed so much with social media and the platforms that we have. We didn't have access to that 10, 15 years ago even. So record labels are great, and I don't have anything against record labels. I mean, we were talking to record labels for a long time. We were signed at one point. Once you sign, you lose your masters. You lose creativity, creative freedom in general. Yeah. So I can say, don't look just to get signed. Yes, labels can help with radio, but to my point earlier, if you put the work in, you can get relationships with radio stations and all that to play your music. So just staying genuine to who you are and not changing for the world, I think is number one. And you know what? It's not going to be an overnight success. You don't want to do it for fame. You don't want to do it for money, because to be honest with you, 99.9% of bands don't make it. But what is make it really at the end of the day?
So I'm hearing that where you guys are at in your journey right now, you guys had some really great success recently, right?
Yeah. So again, God just took our music to a place that we weren't expecting by any means. We weren't expecting the album to do as well as it did. It hit the Billboard #1 in several different categories. with top 100 albums. It hit iTunes #1, Apple Music.
Huge.
Unexpected, really. And I always go back to this, undeserving too, but it's so humbling to realize that like God had a plan for these songs the entire time. When we were writing them during the pandemic, he knew a year from then that it was going to impact the world, and just the fact that it got in front of so many people and just kept going. And thank you all if you did purchase the album. We really appreciate it. But I think the most exciting part of it for us, the accolades and everything are cool, but it's not everything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we were able to impact people, and I can't wait to do that with some of our upcoming stuff.
Yeah, and this is a great example of what happens if you put your mind to it and you really devote your time and you really keep pushing, right? You keep pushing until you get somewhere. I mean, you guys were on the Billboard. That's like, wow, you know? And thinking back, you probably would not have expected that to happen this soon, at least, right? And yet it did, because you guys kept pushing and you kept balancing that marriage and parenting with your passions, and kept putting your mind to it and sticking to it. And you guys are like really going places, and it's great.
Thank you very much. I can tell you, it's interesting because we take a lot of the songs that we write come from our personal lives. So it's not an act. The stuff that you're hearing is stuff that we're going through. Like, I went through depression. I went through a lot of that stuff. I'm going to sing about it because there's other people that were where I was at. And I wish someone would talk to me and encourage me. You know, I wish I had that. Not that I didn't, but you know what I'm saying? You know, so a lot of the stuff, even that we sang about, like, there was a lot of loss. Sarah lost her grandma and her aunt months apart from each other. And our song another one, our song Best of Friends, was about a friend that lost his brother. And then the other song, Home, was about Sarah's grandmother and aunt who had recently passed away. So, you know, in return, that's helping other people who have suffered loss too. So that's where those songs came from.
Yeah. Wow. Well, sorry for the loss, for the losses. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing some of your personal experiences about this journey, and for willing to come on the show and share with the rest of the world some of the private matters of your journey. And we hope that it will inspire a lot of you guys. And, you know, if you guys wouldn't mind showing your support to these guys, they're really awesome. They really are. They've got great stuff, and we'll put up the information on the screen. So feel free to share that information with your friends as well, you know, pass the good news along. And if you like this video and our channel, please smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We would love to share more content with you in the upcoming months. So thank you again, Ryan, so much for being on the show today. Honestly, it's very humbling and so good to see you. And I pray and hope that you guys will continue to stay on this journey. And I know you guys will. You guys are very passionate, and you love what you do, and you love changing lives. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been truly a pleasure. I'm a big fan. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.